Alasdair, hello.
Sam, hello.
We're back in our separate rooms, far apart from each other, but together in spirit.
I couldn't handle the smell any longer.
Neither could I, darling. Let's get out of your cupboard as quickly as possible. I said, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
How rude. How rude.
No.
How have you been?
I'm all right. I feel like I'm just like, oh, I'm fine. I'm feeling a bit awful inside. No, I'm okay.
Inside.
It's one of those busy work weeks. I feel like on Wholala we're either like, I'm great, it's fine. But then every so often you just get a busy week. It's a bit
Every
full
so
on.
often we're a bit sad inside. This has been a week where, honestly, we record on a Monday, yesterday being Sunday, if you know how the week works. And I was thinking, I am actually a little bit depressed. This weather is actually, it is getting to me.
January
It
is
is not
January.
sitting well with me.
No.
It really, and it's still not done.
I know. Do you know what? The first half of January I feel like went really, really quickly. And it's this latter part that's just
Oh,
it's
the
kicking.
joke.
I know.
It's been like 3 Februaries.
I know. I'm going to do a very January thing. I'm going to listen to the ASMR. Listen here. Okay, that was really underdramatic. I have a bottle of Schlur I'm working through.
Yeah, it sounded like a can.
It did sound a bit like a can. This has been my saving grace in dry January. Whenever here we go. I can screw it back on for the listeners. If I ever feel like I want a glass of wine or something, I've just been buying a bottle of Schlur and kind of like living out my life as an 8-year-old on Christmas Day. So
Yes,
that's what I've been doing. So I've got my Schlur with me while we record.
We discussed this last week, and I get really hungover. Even a pint, 2 pints is enough to send me over these days. I tried to quit caffeine once, and I thought I'd feel just so great for doing that. And I tried it. I got through about a week and a half, and I was so angry. I just felt horrible. I just had headaches. I felt annoyed. I just lost a nice part of the day. And the second I went back, I was like, this is wonderful. I'm never doing that again.
I've never been a coffee person. I can't remember if I've spoken about this before. I'm not a hot drinks person. I don't like coffee. I don't like tea. I've never, ever liked either. The only thing I'll have on occasion if it's really cold is maybe like a mint tea or something, like something herbal. But like,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never been a hot drinks person. So that was how I'm justifying this build your Dalek kit thing, because for anyone who has been following me on Twitter, you've probably seen that I've subscribed to this Hatchet Works Build a Dalek, and a couple of you lovely listeners have been tweeting out and messaging on Blue Sky about it, so thank you for that. And the first 2 issues, you get both magazines for $1.99. I thought bargain. Bloody marvellous. I can make the Dalek eye. It's great. And then issue 3 is $11.99. And it's $11.99 every week after that.
Bit of a jump.
But I was like, I don't drink coffee. And like, if you get 2 coffees out, that's near enough a $5. So it's basically 2 coffees a week that I'm not doing anyway. So it's basically free.
That's actually, no, I mean, honestly, seriously, I buy a coffee almost every day. Sometimes 2. And then I will probably try and make a third if there's a third.
But this is my point.
Yeah, you're absolutely, you've got me there. You've absolutely got me there. I feel like the magazine like subscription model for like build your own plane used to be like much more of a TV ad staple. I feel like there was always like a first issue just $2.99.
I've seen this as a YouTube ad. I kind of forgot that it existed. I know that like obviously thinking about like Eaglemas and stuff, they did a lot of like the collect this, so like collect all the Doctor Who figures. They've done it for Harry Potter, they've done it for Marvel. Like I saw a lot of that. I remember when I was a kid there was like an ancient Egypt one where you get a different like sarcophagus based on a different pharaoh every week, but I forget, like I hadn't seen them in so long, like a build your own blank. So I went on their website, they're called Hatchet Works, and they have like build your own, because this is like a 1:2 scale Dalek, so it's going to be about 80 centimeters, like half the size of a full-size Dalek. But they have one where you can build an alien, like a xenomorph from Alien, half the size of the full size.
Wow.
And you can build this like doll's house that's huge, that's got full of Disney figures and stuff. And you can build like James Bond's car and like the tank from Batman. And I was like, I just fully didn't realize all this stuff was still out there.
This is the original Klarna, because it's basically it's a finance plan, essentially.
Basically.
An interest-free finance plan.
Yeah, I showed you it,
but
didn't
that's
I?
reassuring.
Didn't I?
You did. It looked really cool. It's reassuring, though, that they're still making other things, because that suggests that they're not going to suddenly go bust. I was worried they might only be manufacturing Daleks.
That I know. Before I committed to it, I did have a little research on the website to see if, like, how far along the other things had gotten, because I was like, if I spend like $1,000 on this and get 2/3 through and then they cancel it, I don't know who I'm going to complain to, but I'm going to be complaining to someone.
Yeah, I feel like they should have to follow through at that point and just give you the rest of the bits for free.
I hope so. I bloody hope so. Anyway, I don't want to hold us back from talking about this episode too much as I would love to yap about my Build Your Own Dalek. But before we get into the meat of or the stone of the episode, I should say, we had a lovely listener email us on our email address, which is hulalapod@gmail.com. And it's really fun. This is Beth Westbrook emailed us, and they basically sent this really fun idea. They were sending an idea for a Doctor Who podcast. I know that they know we have a Doctor Who podcast, but it's very sweet they were pitching a new idea. I think they were wondering about whether we incorporate it into ours, but I think it's such a good idea. I want to vocalise on here in case anyone else wants to, where it was basically like a Doctor Who version of Desert Island Discs, where you can put out what Doctor episode you would bring with you on a desert island. They gave like a whole list of questions you could ask, like what was the first story you saw, like how would you convert someone to be a Whovian, what would you show them, what's an underrated story. But I really wanted to read the 3 suggestions for the titles of this podcast because I think they're really good. They suggested that this podcast could either be called Desert Island Who, obviously,
Okay.
Who brackets Big Summer Blowout, Who spot WHO, and then finally
Yoo-hoo.
a very autistic Doctor Who survey.
Sure.
And I thought that was so funny. So thank you, Beth, for emailing us your idea for a Doctor Who podcast.
We'll be, selling that off. Well, we've just offered it into the abyss, so whoever wants it.
Go for it.
It wasn't really offered to you, but yeah, have a go.
Fair game. Have a go. Have a go. But I don't want to hold us back any longer because it is time to get blinky.
It's getting blinky. Now, these episodes went out on the 24th of April and the 1st of May 2010, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Adam Smith. And now this really freaked me out. I just had to triple check it to make sure it's true. The viewership of these 2 episodes, these are the overnights, it received 8.6 million for Time of Angels and then 8.5 million for Flesh and Stone. The IMDb scores for these episodes are 8.6 and 8.5. The IMDb scores are the same as the viewership, like exactly the same.
It's like, I didn't believe, because I was looking at the difference between the overnight and the consolidated, and I think you're right that the consolidated, like, it's literally the same numbers, 8.6 and 8.5. That's bananas.
How freaky is that?
That's weird. I don't like
That's
that.
Weird. That's unusual. Has that ever happened? For
Not
another
not
episode
to
of
my
Who,
memory.
That, like, the overnights match the IMDb score? Anyway.
Imagine if Gavin and Stacey, the finale, got a 12.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. You know, that's ended up there. That and Wallace and Gromit are past 20 million now.
That's mad. I mean, everyone's saying that TV is dead. Get a life.
You know what? I actually think I'm wondering if there's a bit of a vibe shift underway. And like, obviously it was Christmas and Christmas is unique for viewership. But I'm kind of wondering, Traitors was massive. Like, I really think Traitors was a moment with Series 3.
Me and my 300,000 view TikTok, thank you very much.
I know, which got stolen.
Which got stolen.
Nabbed
Properly stolen.
by an influencer doing the same bit.
I know.
Shameless. Absolutely shameless. You could have said something, but they would have deleted the comment, I guarantee. But I just wonder if, like, I don't know, there's a name for it, like occasion TV. I don't mean that. Event television.
I think event television is right, yeah.
Where there's just kind of, I think there's a bit of a desire for like these communal moments of TV watching coming back with like everyone watching Gavin and Stacey finale together, everyone watching the Traitors finale together. I think these moments still can be really impactful. I mean, I don't know what the viewership numbers were like for the Traitors, but...
Well, this is the thing, like, and this is why I was saying this about Doctor Who Season 1. I mean, everyone else was as well. You really lost that by airing it at midnight. Like, I mean, I know they still did, like, the 7 p.m. Saturday night viewing, but they'd already dropped it at midnight, and you lose that communal viewing space because everyone's watching it. Well, the superfans are watching it at midnight. Everyone else waiting till 7. Then no one's talking about it at the same time, and you don't get that sense of everyone coming together. Like, I watched a TikTok about the Traitors where they aired one episode half an hour early, and it was like a jokey video about them crying because they were sat doing nothing for half an hour and they could have been watching the Traitors. And I was like, that's how much people are like waiting to watch this. People are like annoyed if they miss out by half an hour.
Yeah.
I have such a vivid memory. I'll never forget. It was a friend's birthday party at the beach. Ironically, actually, a beach that I went to this weekend. And we were at this friend's birthday party in May, right at the beginning of May. And I knew that Flesh and Stone was going to be on at like whatever time it was, like 7:30, let's say. and we were driving home, and this was like not really when you could rewatch it on iPlayer and stuff. And I was like, "We are going to miss it. Hurry up! Like, hurry up!" Like to my dad in the car, and he was like, "I'm driving as fast as I can," and I was like, "I don't think you understand." I have really like deep inbuilt memory of running home to watch the second part of this, so I'm excited to get into it.
The tension, Mama, the tension. You wanted to know, like,
where did they jump?
What is it?
Where did they jump?
We didn't even know if they jumped. You didn't even know that.
He said, he was like, "When I do it, jump."
Oh, yes, you're right. Jump. You're so sorry. You're so right. You're so right.
Look, for anyone, including Alasdair, who needs a little refresher on what happened in this episode, we've written a little description for you. Now, as always, I just recommend go on iPlayer and watch it. Go wherever you can and watch Classic Who. Classic Who? Oh my God. That's a Freudian slip. 2010. I mean, 15 years ago now. Oh, this story's going to be 15 years old this year.
Disgusting.
But for anyone who wants a recap, here you go.
The 11th Doctor and Amy Pond respond to a distress call from River Song, left as a coded message in an ancient artifact thousands of years in the past. They pick her up in the TARDIS, or rather, she falls into it, and arrive in the 51st century at the crash site of the starship Byzantium on the planet Alphavamatraxis. Couldn't get my mouth around that. Alphavamatraxis. Alfava. River reveals that the ship was carrying a weeping angel, a deadly creature that can only move when unobserved. The Doctor, Amy, River, and a team of clerics led by Father Octavian descend into the Aplan catacombs beneath the Byzantium to locate and neutralize the angel.
As they navigate the dark, maze-like catacombs, they discover that the statues surrounding them are not Aplan relics, but dormant weeping angels. The Doctor realizes that the angels are reviving using the radiation from the Byzantium to regain their strength. Earlier, Amy had accidentally looked into the eyes of an angel through a security feed, allowing the creature to imprint itself on her mind. This causes her to experience strange symptoms, including dust from her eyes, hallucinations of becoming stone, and a countdown that she unconsciously recites.
The group retreats into the Byzantium's interior. You can retreat to my Byzantium interior.
Well.
Sorry. The group retreats into the Byzantium's interior, but they are trapped between the angels. Trapped between these cheeks. But they are trapped between the angels, feeding off the ship's radiation and becoming stronger. I'm so sorry, cut all that out. The crack from Amy's childhood wall appears, and while running away from the angels, they soon realize that it erases people and events from ever having existed. The Doctor works out that the crack is a temporal wound linked to a future explosion.
As Amy ends up on the brink of death, they realise that the angel in her eye can't manifest fully if she keeps her eyes closed. After the clerics fall victim to the crack and are erased from time, the Doctor instructs her to walk through the forest with her eyes closed, relying on her communicator to guide her. Meanwhile, Octavian sacrifices himself to hold off an angel, but not before revealing that River is a prisoner under his custody for murder.
In a final gambit, the Doctor uses the Byzantium's artificial gravity to destabilize the angels, and they're pulled into the crack, erasing them from existence and temporarily sealing the anomaly. Amy is saved, though the implications of the mysterious crack remain unresolved.
Ooh. Now, back on the beach, River hints at her enigmatic connection to the Doctor, teasing their future encounters. Amy, still processing her ordeal, tries to seduce the Doctor, but he stops her, realising that everything is circling around her. The base code of the universe is Amy's time.
Now, that lost me. Like, for those of us who can't read the base code of the universe, Amy's time. I was like, what? Sorry, what is anyone saying?
I think I have different feelings about it than you do, but we will get into that after we've jumped into some lovely thoughts of our listeners.
Yes.
Over on Blue Sky, Hamish Steele, our friend of the pod, said, "Crazy how good Matt and Karen are in the first episode they even filmed. I know the moving angels were controversial, but I thought it was such a great surprise and very chilling. My affection for Series 5 knows no bounds. Also, while this is more of a compliment to The Big Bang, the timey-wimey moment of the Doctor comforting Amy from the future is maybe my favourite moment in Doctor Who history."
Wow.
Oh, what's our favourite listener? That we can never pronounce their name. Why Drake?
Why Drake?
Dragon in Welsh. I'm so sorry. And they've also never tried to correct us, so Dragon in Welsh. It's a fun romp, although I do think it's very much flawed. It's definitely fun. I don't really like the angels talking. I think it serves a purpose in the episode and makes some good jokes, but overall, I think the angels as a silent villain makes them so much scarier. The second they can talk, suddenly they're not pure hunters who, despite being smart, are completely impossible to reason with. Instead, they're just people. Angel. It also comes up with a division as Angel agents. This is just a guy now. He has a job and a personal belief system. It's not a scary monster, it's just a salary man. Interesting take. Amy said, I love it. It's always running my favourite episode along with Flesh and Stone. Tubby Custard said, it's a really good two-parter, but the beginning of the end of the Angel's fear factor for me. Every new ability after Blink just muddies the water. An image of an angel as an angel, and the second they touch you, you explode. Makes them less scary and a bit more contrived. And finally, over on Blue Sky, Tired Demurge says, I found Angel Bob's voice weirdly sexy for some reason. And to you, Tired Demurge, I would say, I found all of Bob sexy.
Oh! Didn't expect that at all. All right. Okay. All right. Tell you what, though, getting more engagement over on Blue Sky, that's nice.
Yeah, I love it.
We've obviously shoved everyone over there, which is nice. Back on X, where we're funding the Musk machine. I'm very sorry. We're not paying for it. Bad Wolf Archives said, we love Bad Wolf Archives, maybe one of the episodes that had the most pressure to succeed, especially following the response to Blink and the excitement with River, and it totally knocks it out of the park, in my opinion. Scary, atmospheric, engaging. It's a very worthy sequel for the Angels.
I never really thought about that it's a sequel to two stories. It's a sequel to Silence and Light Before Us the Dead as well as Blink.
Yeah. Make Me an Offer said, Stone Cold Classique.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy said, I have such fond memories of the beach filming photos being our first glimpse of the 11th Doctor, Amy and River together. Those photos were all over the forums and in the press. The sense of scale on this story still impresses me, and the opening scene with River is camp. I always make me think about one picture of Karen Gillan holding a coffee cup with the flames in the background. Gilsder says, the best Weeping Angel story, and love the return of River song. Plus love the connective issue to the Byzantium in Silence of the Library and Ian Glenn's performance as Father Octavian. I so agree. And then that's most what we got this week. A lot of love for River.
Yeah, a lot of love for River. Before recording this episode, I watched the Confidential for Time of Angels, and I completely missed that the crash of Byzantium was something River listed in Silence in the Library. Like, it was one of the things she listed. So, like, when she was talking to David Tennant, she was like, Crash the Byzantium. Have we done that yet? No? Okay. And, like, Alex Kingston's talking about it, and she says it's so weird because years ago when she filmed it, she was just reciting text off a script. And now she's realised, like, all those stories are, like, future adventures for the Doctor and River, and they were intentionally put there by Moffat. And I'm sure he didn't know what, his great plan would be. He didn't know he was going to become showrunner when he was writing that in 2007. But it's so interesting to see him be like, okay, well, I put that. Let's take that and build on that idea.
Yeah, it's nice. I guess it was always seeded there as someone could have picked it up, even if it wasn't him, or maybe he'd be asked back to write a story with River and not do it as showrunner. And also it's like nicely vague enough as well as kind of things like Crash to the Byzantium could mean absolutely anything.
It really could. I remember when they announced that Russell was leaving, I was like, oh yeah, I love Doctor Who, blah, blah, blah. Really weird he never did anything with River though. Like, I just remember thinking it was like almost like a mistake. Like, oh, you set us up for this and then there was no payoff, and then there came to be a lot of payoff.
Yeah, quite a lot of the payoff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We have a lot to talk about for this one. It's two episodes. So give me some thoughts.
Thought number one, David Atkins, who plays Bob, is fucking hot. And I looked him up. If you look on the doc and scroll down a bit, I've got a picture of what he looks like now. And
he's aged very, very, very nicely.
Aged very nicely, aged like a fine wine. Twink of the week, I would say. I've sort of realised that within this era, and especially in Russell's era as well, there was always Twink of the week. Ross. Ross, I'm thinking as well. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about any of that. Ross adjacent. Yeah. No, but to talk about the actual episode. When it opened, like when the first one opened, Time of Angels, I sort of forget the quality jump in like filming from series 4 to series 5. Like suddenly I'm like, oh, you've got like good cameras and decent visual effects and stuff. And you really do feel, I mean, the ADR in the church is a little bit spotty, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you really do feel that there's been a bit of a jump.
It's weird because we're suddenly in like sharp HD for this era, where we previously been obviously used to like the weird standard definition of series 1 to 4. Tragically, just all that detail is just like lost forever. But I remember there was some point behind the scenes where Russell said something like, oh, if we did film it in HD, it wouldn't look good. Like he was like, if we filmed David's TARDIS in HD, it would look bad because there's like details we can like benefit from losing. Yeah. And there's actually something I would say controversially about Series 5, where I do actually think sometimes the visuals look a bit flat for me. I think because it's so crisp and well lit, and it has that kind of thing where like the grading is very neutral.
Yeah.
Maybe to like benefit the VFX looking more natural. Everything looks very like neutral, very clean, very bright. I think it can look a little bit more like flat, but the point where I noticed the jump is actually the Christmas special with Katherine Jenkins, whichever one that was. The opening scene where like Amy and Rory burst in and they're like, "We're going down."
Oh, it's so like J.J. Abrams
Doctor.
with all the lens flares.
Yeah, when they go like maximum on the lens flare. But I remember thinking like, "Oof, they've had a bit of a step up here." So I think they maybe later on, maybe like got a bit more. Maybe later on they got a bit more confident with filming it.
I think what it is that they have the nice cameras, but they're not. And this isn't a comment on the direction or anything, because I think they do a lot. Especially, I love the location filming this, like filming in the caves. But there's some bits where, like the opening shot, you're just filming in a field, and then you're filming in some corridors. And like, I think that maybe that, as in the Christmas Carol, is where it's more noticeable that they're making stylistic choices that are at least more obvious and like benefit from being there. But what you were saying about being flat, there's one shot in the second episode in I always want to call it Forest of the Dead, and there is an episode called Forest of the Dead is the second
the other Moffat one.
Is the other Moffat one, isn't it? Yeah, but in Flesh and Stone, when the panel opens and you see all the angels in the forest, that is very like composited still photos of weeping angels in a composited forest stuck on. So I do get what you mean there, but I definitely do see a jump. And talking again about Moffat, it's so funny when you and me are together doing an episode, and this is for the pod, this isn't just a you and me chat. When you and me are like on a Zoom, I feel like it's very like analytical and we're talking and discussing. Yeah. And when we're next to each other, we are just like yabba like,
yeah. I was going to say something like on Zoom. I think maybe I like default into my work brain again, and I'm just like trying to say something clever. I think it probably is that. When I'm with you, I'm just like, it doesn't matter. There's two of us.
I know. Well, I also maybe it's my note. I don't know. One thing I love a little, like we were talking about before with the Crash of Byzantium in the Diary. Moffat loves to plant a seed for something he might use later, and there's a lot of options where there's a lot of times where he's done it and he doesn't pick up on it, and that's fine. But the Deryllium Archive, when they're in the church at the beginning, and the Doctor says, "Oh, it's the Deryllium Archive, the final resting place for the headless monks." And at that point in Doctor Who, it's just a line. It's just a bit of backstory for a place that we don't care about. But Deryllium, like the Singing Towers of the final resting place for the headless monks. So it's two different Moffat threads that he then pulled from that.
He just says anything that he can pick up later. He's just throwing in nonsense, and then sort of I think backwards engineers to go like, right, what
I know.
is a headless monk?
I did have a moment with this where, because I haven't watched Series 5 in a while, I was like, so is the crack the explosion, the Big Bang at the end of the universe, or is it Gallifrey? Because that I don't know, darling.
Both.
Why not both?
Both. I think it is both. I think the cracks, well, that is nonsense. I think the cracks in the universe are from the TARDIS exploding, because the Silence wanted to prevent the Doctor from ever getting to Trenzalore to speak his name. Only because after the cracks are resealed, the Time Lords reopen one so that they can reach through from a different universe and ask him in a truth field what his name is.
That's a lot.
Like, what? Sorry, Gary, say it again?
Gary's like, all I need is a fucking shot. It is a lot.
I don't want to get into the lows too early in this episode. And I think you'll have a lot of nice things to say, but let me just say something. Yeah. I find it very hard in this episode to orient myself, which is maybe a me problem. Okay, I'm willing to accept that. I found that, so we're outside, we're on the beach at the start. And then it's the beach at night, but maybe because I'm thick, I thought they were inside the caves already at that point when they're still outside on the beach.
I thought that too, but I just assumed that they were in a halfway, the entryway to the cave. That, if you are going caving and you're on a beach or something, and there is the entrance to the cave has sand, but you could still see the sea through it. I feel like it's in my head anyway. It's that bit. I don't know what it's meant to intentionally be, but yeah.
I needed a joining shot of the sun going down to understand where I was.
Just wanted to be handheld from shot A to shot B.
I did. I was guide me through this, and then I think then moving through the caves and then being kind of in the center and being surrounded, and then being on the bottom of a spaceship upside down and then being inside the tunnels and then inside a forest inside the spaceship, and then people falling into a crack inside the forest inside the spaceship.
Do you know,
quite hard to visualize.
What really tripped me with it, and I think this is a real, I guess it was like a money-saving thing, but a real fault of the episode is that when they, have gone through the corridors and they get into that like control room where they open the door to the forest, their whole thing is we need to get to this other room on the other side of the forest, but it's the same set. And it's the same door. So story-wise...
it looks like they came back to the same room.
Exactly, yeah. They're on the other end of the forest and the other end of the spaceship, but it's exactly the same set, so it looks like they've just come back. And I think, like, that was maybe a mistake. And it's also another case of, again, like, reusing the same corridors a million times. Like,
I think that's why I couldn't understand where the crack was, is because it looked like there was a second crack. It looked like there was one small one above the doorway when they come into the control room. They leave that room and go through the forest, and then through the trees, they can see a crack.
I think it's meant to be that crack is getting bigger, and then when they seal the crack by feeding it the angels, it gets smaller and then, like, temporarily seals.
I thought a second one had opened even this time.
A double crack!
Now I'm saying it. Two cracks.
Girl, double homicide.
So I think I was probably also just like, what? So, yeah, I mean, that was just a small complaint. I think this is probably an example of an episode... we asked this question before. Which episodes would benefit from a bigger budget? This one. Yeah. I think this two-parter would benefit from more money because there's some things you can see they couldn't do. For example, when they all have to escape the angels by kind of jumping in an anti-grav bubble and land upside down on a spaceship, which still has the anti-grav intact. There's a gap there that we don't see on screen, but it is really helpful to orient us as to where we are. I mean, they do a shot, which is like an upside down of like, look where we are now, which is very helpful. But because we never see that escape happen, it's hard to understand what happened.
I get what you mean. There's enough like techno babble about it that I get it, and I think the audience like would generally get it. But it's interesting watching it being filmed in the Confidential because I do believe they're in this massive cavern with the spaceship above them, whereas when they were filming it, it's quite a narrow cave. Like I'd say they're only half a meter away from the ceiling, and
yeah, fair enough. They did that well.
Yeah, I think there's an element with Dog 2 about wobbly sets and making do with what you have and doing the best. And I was watching The Confidential with Josh, and he was saying, like, I prefer this to Boom. Like, I prefer seeing them film in actual caves than Boom when they were in this, like, desolate planet. Right. And I do think that much as you are kind of working with the means you've got and figuring out, and, like, it doesn't always work 100%, the tactile energy of being in a real place, both for the actors and the viewer, I think does make it believable in a different way. Like I believe it because I can see it, kind of, which I know is like the opposite of what you were saying.
And because it's not perfectly controlled as well.
Yeah,
right?
And it's not perfectly controlled. Yeah, exactly.
I'm in the group that thought the Boom set was really pretty. And
I don't hate it. I just prefer a cave or a quarry or something. There's this really cute bit in The Confidential where they have like the cave preserver who like works there, and he's like, they're bringing in all these stones that are made of polystyrene. We've got stones here. And it's so
what are we doing that for? We got
it's stones. So cute. It's so lovely. I love it. One thing I wanted to mention was that it's really interesting because this is a sequel to Blink in a way. I mean, it is and it isn't, in that it's got nothing to do with the story from Blink. It just has the same villain. Like, you don't, like, it's so separate. Like, the Doctor even comments, he's like, oh, those were, like, castaways. Like they're not even the same type of angel as these.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a sequel, but it's interesting they took that villain and decided to go in a completely different tone. So Blink is much more of, like, a horror thriller, and this is much more of like an action adventure. Like the blinking element, like other than the bit where Amy's watching the hologram, they don't ever really, as long as you're looking at the angel, that's kind of enough. Like they don't really harp on the fact that you can't blink. It's just like, oh, look at it and watch it, and it can't really move because it's still regenerating. But it's interesting that they went so far into the action adventure with like the soldiers and the guns and the chase and the levels. And it's not that I love one more than the other. I just think it's a bold move to go so different.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That would be probably where I have a bit of a criticism about the episode for me, is that I don't think action really suits the angels quite as well. I really liked how they did it in Flux, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's one of the best angel stories because they showed some of the concepts that are established in this two-parter really well there. So like, something taking an image of the angel can become an angel, and then the drawing starts coming to life, and then and the drawing not like made of her brain scans.
Yeah, like
drawing
her brain. Yeah,
it's drawing itself, and then they throw the paper into the fire, and the fire screams, and it's like a really good horror. I like that a lot. I think this one, like the mechanics of it bothered me, because I know I'm being really particular about the details of this episode, which is, I feel like I'm nitpicking, but the mechanics are everything in Blink. Like the rules are everything. The rule is do not blink. If you blink, you're dead, because they're so fast they'll grab you. And when they grab you, they send you back in time. Those are the only rules. Those are the critical rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the resolution is that they break the rule of not observing each other. They forget to cover their eyes. They see each other and they're trapped. And so in this one, I think the rules get a bit too complex. Maybe it's that they've added in a few new things. So they add in the thing about the image of the angel, but they also add looking into an angel's eyes can allow it kind of a window into your soul, and it can kind of plant itself there. Like a mental image can make itself real as well. And then you have like the hallucinations Amy has and all these kind of things, which is really cool, but they layer like a lot of new abilities. Angels start acting in different ways, how we expect. Like they snap necks, they don't send people back in time. Some of the things that slightly bothered me. One is that it felt like a lot of angels were looking at each other. Like, and maybe they weren't, but it felt like
they were just like
to hunt in a pack. It just felt like there were parts of it where I was like, especially the part where Amy was like with her eyes shut, escaping a group of them. I was like, they can see each other. I'm sure they can see each other, and that was a little bit frustrating to me, because I thought, even if you just glimpse one of them, those two are stuck and they're out of the game. And they all seemed quite lax about that part. So sometimes you'd see like three of them stacked up in a queue behind each other, and I thought, well,
but they're all, I think in that sense they're always looking at the back of each other's head, because like I'm not here to defend it. Like I agree with your point in the bit where Amy is hiding. To my memory of it, you notice they're all kind of like looking to the side, or they're turning, and it looks like they're trying to quite quickly cover their eyes. And in the big shot at the end where they're all looking at the doctor, they're all looking at each other's back of their head. So it's that they're not none of them are looking in each other's faces. I don't disagree with you that I think there probably are instances where they're looking in each other's faces, but so
does an angel need to look into an eye to be observed?
I think the whole point is it's looking in the eye, because then in the bit where the doctor tricks them into being frozen in Blink, they're literally like on each side of the TARDIS looking directly at each other.
See, maybe I'm thinking, because another part of this, he's like, Amy, look anywhere else. Don't look at its eyes, but look at its body. So in my head, I was like, oh, so the rule is like, look at the body and then it's frozen.
Yeah.
But then the other bit then that slightly frustrated me about that, I'm really sorry to do this. I know.
No, I have one after you.
And I hate it. But if looking at an angel at all freezes it, and it's a fact of its biology that it's observed, so it's stuck, then Amy having her eyes shut and it being like, their instincts have kicked in, like they think you can see them, so they're stuck. I was like, bullshit.
No,
like,
that's
bullshit.
fair. Yeah,
I
guess
no,
they were like,
they
they're scared of the crack. They're not focusing, but I know what you mean.
That too, like they were so distracted by the by the crack. They were like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you. They were doing their like countdown. They were like messing with them, toying with them. Crack appears, they're off. They're like, oh. Yeah. Where'd you go?
I've never really thought, I mean, obviously, like I've never really watched Doctor Who to dissect it before Wholala. And watching it here, the one thing, because I do like these episodes, I'm a liker of these episodes, but the thing that bugs me is that the biggest part of the Weeping Angels shtick is that they touch you and you get sent back in time.
Yeah.
Like that's their thing. They feed off your time energy, so it benefits them if they're trying to, like these humans running around, there's no benefit to them being there. And they try and write in, they're like, oh, we're toying with you because it's fun. Because I feel like they wrote that in because the audience are probably asking these questions. And it's Moffat's way of being like, oh, see, I thought of it too. They're having fun. But if they had just been on the brink of death, like they're so rid of energy that they're decaying, do you think they probably would focus more on like revitalize themselves? So if they can send them back in time and like zhuzh themselves up a bit, why aren't they doing that? Why are they snapping their necks and using them to communicate? It feels like the big fear factor that they thought of like, you have to look at them, you can't look away, was the only thing that really carry through to this. Like, I think you could almost make them different. Like, you could almost make them like the Silence if you wanted to. They don't really have to be Weeping Angels, because I think The Angels Take Manhattan is a better sequel to Blink than these are, because the whole thing of like, okay, we're going to send you back in time, but only to this house that we kind of own, and sort of battery farm you throughout your life and keep feeding on your life. That's more of a sequel to it than this is, I think.
That was freaky. Yeah, I understand that. There was just other like little, I guess, like little rule violations I didn't like. Like I like them building on it, but when there was things like, I mean, there's one point where one of the angels grabs the Doctor's jacket and he like nearly gets away from them and he's like, oh, they've got my back. He still has his back turned to them and no one else is in the room. So I'm like, why did they stop? Doesn't make sense.
No one else was in the room where it happened.
Right.
Where it happened.
Am I wrong? Like, no one else was in the room.
So no. I thought the same thing. Like, the angel that's holding his jacket, he still can't
see it.
And this is the thing. And it could just touch his cheek and could be like, boop, and touch his cheek and then just send him back.
And the thing is, like, I don't want to be, like, pedantic about, like, wow, that doesn't count. But all of the tension of Blink is about having your eye on it, like, all the time, and, like, tricking it because you need to get it into a place where there's a mirror or someone can see something, or, like... So I don't know. It felt like that got forgotten a little bit in favor of like upping the stakes by having lots of angels.
Yeah, I get that. To say some things I do like off the back of that. I think this episode, much as like I agree with you that like if you look into the semantics a bit too much, there is a lot to nitpick, and I do think you're right with that. But for me, I think this episode has some real moments of like heart-wrenching, like it really, like, even watching it for the umpteenth time, I've seen this a million times, it really invoked an emotion for me. The scene where they realise, like where the Doctor and River realise that these aren't the Aplan statues, that they're angels, really does like give me a chill. And it's not scary in comparison to Blink, but the bit where he's like, oh... And the River's like, what? And he kind of looks at her and she goes like, oh. And they're having to like slowly explain it to everyone. That just give me chills. And also the scene at the beginning of the second one where the angels have made their way onto the corridor and the only way they can stop them is by rerouting the power to the door to open it. And by doing that, they have to turn out the lights.
Yeah.
And the only lights you get are from the machine gun fire from the soldiers, and they're like zimping their way to them. Like, I just love that scene. I think that, and again, it's because it's very emblematic of the scene in Blink with the light flickering on and off at Sally and Larry. It really gets like a guttural reaction from me.
My build on that would be that I think they should have got one of the clerics at that point. I think we needed more clerics and we needed more to die along the way. So I know that's fair. A horrible fate for them. I would have liked them to reach one of them because I think the lights were off for too long for them to have got away. And so I think someone should have been the last one out.
There's a lot of like Moffat writing clever little workarounds that aren't even clever little workarounds. They're just a bit annoying. But I mean, to be fair, I would rather that than what I feel like has been happening a bit in the recent era where they just don't explain things. Like, oh, figure out for yourself. Where Amy says, like, oh, you said they were fast. Because remember the Doctor said, like, they are faster than you can believe. And she says, oh, you said they were fast. He's like, oh, they're dying. They're rebuilding themselves. They're slow now. And I'm a bit like, then why bother using them? Like, what if you're not going to use them as like weeping angels? Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'll come on to another really good thing then. I loved the angel stealing someone's voice. That is a great evil power that works so well. So when they get Bob and they start speaking through Bob, which is, just really creepy, isn't it? Just like animating a dead person's voice. And they don't initially let on either that that's what it is. So they're just having a chat and then
they keep calling itself Bob.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, there's something the angels are very keen you should know before the end. I died in fear. You told me my fear would keep me alive, but I died afraid, in pain, and alone. You made me trust you, and when it mattered, you let me down. I was just like...
That was a great accent.
Where was that from? I don't know.
Lancaster.
Somewhere up north. I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, but you're right, yeah.
I love that, and I love, like, I guess they don't really understand tone of voice either. Like they're just copy pasting his voice, and so I love that it just comes out in this very neutral expression,
like matter of fact way.
Yeah, really matter of factly. Like, I was terrified, and there's another bit he said, and I thought, wow, this is like not kid friendly comes back to what we said last week as well, which we were like, it's Doctor Who's better when they write it so it's a bit too scary for kids because kids will like it more. And he says that thing about like, snapped my neck. Wasn't as painless as I hoped it would be, but it was quick. And I was like, that is a horrible image.
I can't imagine them putting that in Doctor Who. I mean, I guess you have in Boom, like, they get schlumped into the flesh stick.
That's right. We pretend they wouldn't do it. Ruby is holding a dead guy for a lot of the episode.
But who wrote that episode?
You're right. You're so right. Who wrote that episode? Oh my God, she's holding a dead guy. You're so right.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Angel Bob dialogue was great. That was one. I like when the Doctor starts sassing Angel Bob as well. He's like, there you are, Angel Bob. How's life? Sorry, bad subject.
He does that, like... He does that so much in this episode. There's the bit with Amy, and she's very, like, emotional. Like, you can see the angel in her eye, and she's like, Doctor, it's coming. I can feel it. I'm going to die. And then he just goes, please shut up. I'm thinking. Like, she's literally like, on the brink of death. And
12 is,
so
like,
funny.
Poking his head out a teeny, weeny bit.
Yeah.
It goes on to, he says, like, they go on, and Bob goes like, the angels are feasting, sir. Soon we'll be able to absorb enough power to consume this vessel, this world, and all the stars, and all the worlds beyond. And the Doctor goes, well, we've got comfy chairs. Did I mention? We have no need of comfy chairs. I made him say comfy chairs.
I think you need moments like that in an episode like this, like those moments of levity.
Yeah, definitely. Also, the angels screaming was a nice addition. I think they probably could have really upped the sound design even beyond what they did, but there's like a screeching noise, and they're like, oh my God, what's that?
Dear God, what is that?
And then Bob's like, it's hard to put it in your terms, Dr. Song, but as best I understand it, the angels are laughing.
Yeah, I love the idea that an angel's laugh. I also find it weird, though, that an angel can't. The reason I think I liked them using Bob's voice is because they're kind of projecting the mental thought of Bob's voice into the communicator to the Doctor. I don't believe the angels have vocal cords. I don't believe they can speak. So that like shrill scream, it does like cut into you, and it is really ooky spooky kooky. But at the same time, I'm also a bit like, are you screaming? I don't know. Again, it's them playing with the rules of what an angel is. But I do like they don't ignore it. Like, once they set this as an established thing angels can do in this episode, when they come back in Flux, they do it, like you said, they use the image of the angel, but they also use the voice. They get the professor's voice in the Village of Angels, and they project it through the TV. Do you remember? It's a skill that I'd rather they take a big swing and then double down on it than take a big swing and then pretend it never happened.
Yeah. I agree. I think all the rules they put in are good rules. Like when they introduce something new in this one, I think it's really, really good. And it's also a scary build that like the angels won't always send you back in time. Like if they're not feeling like it, they'll just snap your neck and it'll hurt. Like that's terrifying, because that was one of your little workarounds before of being like, well, at least I could live out a nice long life. Nope, like they won't. So yeah, I did like some bits of it like that, and I agree. Like I think when the angels come back, they're all just very established rules now. On the rules, I will say as well, I really like that they've got this book that Rivers found. They refer to in the first one, and she's like, it's these like ramblings of a madman, but it's this ancient book I found, because I guess she's a legit archaeologist, and she's like, most of it's just nonsense, but I've highlighted a few bits that kind of make sense, and they're kind of flicking through and they're trying to understand it, and I'd love to know like what all the other ramblings about angels say. Yeah.
I feel like this is just what makes me really wish we had. I mean, again, there's definitely, and I understand people's thoughts on knowing too much and removing some of the mystery can like make things worse. But for anyone who might not know, Class, the spin-off from the Capaldi era, they were planned. Who was it that wrote Class? It wasn't Pete Mateague, was it? Who wrote Class?
Patrick Ness, right?
Yes, Patrick Ness, yes. So Patrick Ness wrote Class, and he had plans for Series 2, but obviously it didn't get commissioned for a second series. At the end of Series 1, you see a weeping angel, and there's like the Council of Angels, and it's like the angels are working with humans in present-day England, and his plans were that you were going to see like the planet of angels, like where they come from in Series 2. And I definitely think, there's an element of mystery that's interesting, but I just want to know more. I love the angels. I want to know what their day-to-day, like, are they all evil? Like, but then I guess you fall into the trap of, like they were saying in the Wholala comments, that it's just some guy in his job. Like, it's just going to work. He's an angel. Do you reckon angels have kids? They do have kids. We know they have kids. The little cherub angels.
We know they have kids.
We know they have kids.
But I like the unknown as well. Like, I think if we know too much about the angels, it unravels. They have to pop up every now and then.
Yeah.
And they have to remain, like, for the most part, like a terrifying ancient race that even the Doctor hadn't met until Blink.
Yeah, there's another line I just remembered that I love. It's when Amy she's got her eyes shut and she's trying to get to the Doctor, and the thing bleeps when there's a warning. It starts bleeping, and she's like, "What's that?" And the Doctor goes, "It's a warning. There are angels around you now." And it cuts to the wide, and she's surrounded by weeping angels, and she can't.
Yeah.
The one thing she can't do is blink, and she has to have her eyes closed, or she'll die. Like, I do, much as I know what you mean about like the ups and downs of the episode, I do really like moments like that.
It's a good moment. The execution. I'm such a little bitch. The execution, like, she was like, it got a beep, 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 beep. And then instead of like go a different direction to avoid it, she'll like turn sideways and like shuffle to the side. I'm like, now how did you know to do that? You know, like but I agree. Like, the concept's very good. I mean, more than that, I was like, why did the Doctor leave poor blind Amy in the forest by herself? He does later on say, like, that was a mistake, I shouldn't have left you. But I think it's Octavian who's like, he said, my clerics will look after you, Miss Pond. These are my best men. They'll lay down their lives in her protection. And they, at the first opportunity, are like, I just need to go and have a better look at that light. All right. And she's like, no, don't go. No, you don't remember the others. They were here. And I just need to have a quick look at that light. I'll be back in a sec.
I understand when people critique the crack being in this, but I couldn't stop myself comparing this to how they did it in Flux. I think this is a really, really good example of taking your season-wide plot arc and inserting it into an episode and making it make sense. Because in Flux, the thing that I got frustrated with, and it happened in The Village of Angels, which I agree with you, I think is one of the best Weeping Angel episodes, potentially second to Blink. I think it suffers because every so often you will jump to the story of the guy from The Inbetweeners and O from Sex Education talking to this carrier guy who sucks all the people inside of him and has nothing to do with the plot. And much as it is to do with this wide season plot, which like does connect in weird ways, and like the angel is actually an agent for Division, and the cliffhanger is that, you know, they're going to recall the Doctor to Division. My issue with it is that those things don't serve the plot of the Village of Angels. I want the Village of Angels story to feel like a complete story, even if it is left on a cliffhanger. And the thing with the Doctor and the angels working for Division, like that leads into later episodes of Flux. Whereas including the crack here, when it first came, and I was reminding myself about how this episode played out, I was like, oh, they're just dropping it in. It's just, I forgot it was in the episode a lot. And it turns out that it is something the angels then think they can use as a food source. They try and get to it. Then they realize how dangerous it is. So then they're running away from it. Then they need to stop it. And then it's also the solution to the story. The Doctor uses the crack to take the angels away. It gets rid of the angels, gets rid of the crack. And so you're not just dropping this in as a random coming up on this series. It is in part of the story as a whole. And I think that's where Flux suffered, because the times it was being inserted into stories, it didn't have any consequence within that story or any resolution within that story.
That I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, they were kind of stuffed without the crack, actually, weren't they? Like, I mean, the Doctor and River had kind of made it beyond the forest, and River did just manage to get the teleporter working, and then they work out how to deal with the angels via the light source. But actually, if the crack had never come, they'd never have been distracted, and they probably would have just picked off the clerics and Amy.
Yeah, probably. The Doctor would have sacrificed himself in jumping into the crack and sealing it. Oh no, but if the crack was never there, yeah, they would have just picked them all off, I guess. Yeah, weird.
The Doctor and River make it out, I guess.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first on the campaign.
But then River doesn't exist then, so...
Yeah, that's weird. Oh,
Yoish.
I do like, though, that we get, like... Because she was just saying about all the places they were in. I do like that we get, like, within this two-parter, the sandy beach, we get the stony cave, we get the metallic spaceship, we get the green forest. We get so many types of places within this story, and I just think that's quite fun.
Yeah, one thing I sense that Stephen Moffat really likes to do, and I think he's right to do this, I like it as a little hallmark of his style, is dance around as many places as he can go within a story. And I think even like Joy to the World, right, it opens with and ends with 5 different locations. It's like, fine, we'll do Base Camp Everest, we'll do the Orient Express, we'll do this, we'll do that. I think he loves mashing those sort of things together.
Yeah.
Same for like the Wedding of the Doctor, where is it called the Wedding of the Doctor?
The Wedding of River Song.
River Song. The Wedding of River Song, and it's like 5:20 p.m. all the time, but it's like all of time happening at once.
Yeah.
And they're on a train in the pyramids, but the pyramids are also Area 51.
Yeah.
And
shoving all the things together.
He loves that stuff. He absolutely loves it.
Yeah. No, he really does. He really does. It's really interesting, because I was saying earlier about how this is sort of a sequel to Blink, but it's also a sequel to Silence in the Library, because River's back. And it's interesting because at this point, I forget that we didn't really know much. Well, we didn't really know anything about her other than the fact that she knows the Doctor. And, I like that we keep in the diary and that we keep that banter. And in the Confidential, it's really interesting because Moffat says he was very deliberate with their relationship, and Amy picks up on it right away because she asks, is she your wife? She doesn't ask, is she your girlfriend? Like, she's not saying, is this the woman you're sleeping with? She's saying, like, is this the woman that asked you to take the bins out at night? Like, that's their relationship. He said he very deliberately didn't want to write the Doctor and River, at least at this point, as like a sexual chemistry. It was like a husband and wife who have been together for many years. And what I also thought was really fun and interesting in this episode is seeing her reaction to Amy, because she knows that's her mum, and she will have never, this is the youngest she's ever seen her mum, so she is so different to how she knows her. But in the bit where Amy's dying, like, River is, for someone who she's just met, like, when she meets Donna, she goes like, oh, you're Donna Noble, like, I know about you, like, oh, I'm sorry, I know about you, like, what's gonna happen? She's really sad, but she's not like super like emotionally invested in her. But when Amy is suddenly dying and she's trying to like comfort her and like lie to her and tell her everything's okay, and getting annoyed when the Doctor's upsetting her, and seeing her reaction, knowing that that's her mum, it's sad in two ways. It's sad because like you're watching your mum in pain and potentially die, but also like the ramifications for her. She's like, if Amy dies here, I'll never get here. And that's interesting to see in retrospect.
Do you think Moffat knew at this point that was always the storyline they were going for, that Amy was going to be River's mum?
I think so, because if you think about it, this is episode, I think, 6 of Series 5, and episode 6 of Series 6 is where we find out. So I think he probably did have a plan. I don't know if he had everything planned out, but I think he knew probably from Silence in the Library it would be the Doctor's wife, and I think he probably knew from this episode that it would be Amy's daughter.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it, to have, like, if you actually think about the way it was done, to have an established character who was introduced in the previous era be the daughter of a new companion. I mean, that is equivalent to finding out that Belinda is Ryan Sinclair's secret mum.
It's almost equivalent to Bill turning out to being Belinda's daughter.
It's on those lines, isn't it?
It's a weird one to get. I mean, that's a lot of Moffatisms. Is like you have to take a second to really get your head around it. But it's very smart. I really do think that Stephen Moffat. I mean, all of the showrunners plan things out and put seeds, and then they also go with things on the fly and like chuck things in because they seem like they're working. But it does seem like he really had foresight in certainly the Ponds arc. I don't think there was as much foresight within Clara's arc, but certainly within the Ponds, like he knew where he was going.
I think with Clara's arc, he saw as far ahead as he thought he had to look ahead, and then the talent decided the plan had to change. And he was like, "Okay, here's a new." I mean, honestly, for like just whipping out a new series arc and just being like, "Right, okay, yeah, let me just pen and paper news for Clara.
Jenny, you're staying for another series. But you're not doing every episode. You're only gonna do half of them. Okie dokie. All right.
Okay.
All right then.
And Clara Oswald, who did not die, gets another series.
Oh god.
The story that's set up as well with like who she'll be to him, the woman who kills the Doctor. I think he must have known about Amy being River's mum at this stage, because he sets up another part of the Series 6 arc, which is that River will kill the Doctor. I mean, it's extremely on the nose. Like, she killed a man, Doctor, a good man, a hero to many. So, who is like, you don't want to know, sir. You really don't want to know.
And then when he asks her and she's like, yes, I did. And he's like, a good man? She's like, the best man I've ever known. And I was like, right, okay.
Right. Who could that be? So it becomes a question of why did she kill the Doctor? Like, not did she? So that was there. The fact that she did it in a spacesuit was not there. And that it was beyond her control.
Yeah.
And that she was built for it, and that she's...
It's interesting. I would like to make, and I'm sure someone's done it, I'd like to make a chronological chart from the church that is established to stop the Doctor saying his name, linking through to Melody's birth, through there taking her and inducting her and brainwashing her, and then her breaking free, and then all of it. Like, it's just, I remember when I was younger, I wish I'd kept it, and I'm sure I got rid of it. I wish I'd kept it though. I made a prop of the River's diary, and I filled it with what I thought, like, as the show was coming out, I'd like update it with like what I thought and what I would link and stuff. And even just then trying to put it all together, it was so interesting piecing the pieces together and seeing why she does stuff. And I can only imagine with Big Finish the lore expansion that has now.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
No, but it's interesting to think about it all together.
It's funny how complex the Silence's plan was to stop the Doctor, and that he still fuddled his way out of it in a Fez with a mop. Like, he still, like, they were like, right, we have to really, really think about this. Like, right, so we can time travel for this one, fellas. We have no limit on how long we need to do this one. In fact, the Silence were like, tell you what, we're going to go back so far. We're going to infiltrate Earth, not just at like an early stage. We're going to infiltrate them at the inception of the wheel, to get them to a stage that they build us the perfect device for us to put Melody Pond inside so that she can kill the Doctor on the right day, at the right time, in the right place.
Yeah.
Like, and then the other plan is we're also going to hide a bomb in the TARDIS, make sure that goes off.
With River inside.
And with River inside, I'm confusing different plots at this point.
No, but it is true because it's all the church. Oh, well, no, I'll rattle through. I know we're running out of time. I'll rattle through a couple of things that I really liked in this. I'm going to finish with some highs. I thought there were a lot of great phrases and little great sort of like snapshots in this of dialogue. It's your teeth. Have you got space teeth? When the Doctor bites her, and he actually did bite her. Like, there's this bit in Confidential where Karen's like, I hope he's not actually going to bite me. Like, I don't think he will, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to him on set and he goes, yeah, I'm going to actually bite her. Complete opposite. The scene, I mean, Hamish mentioned it, the scene where the Doctor goes back for Amy and he says, like, I don't know yet, but I'm working it out. Like, you've got to trust me. And then when you see that at the end of the season, you realise that's the future Doctor coming back to, like, tell her, you have to trust me. I think that it was...
And did you notice he had his tweed jacket on as well for that one scene? It's a weird one,
because he did have the tweed jacket on, but he also had his sleeves rolled up, which I guess was, like, the sleeves are rolled up to try and show us, like, the audience at the time watching this not maybe notice so much, but then you do see like he's got the tweed jacket on. I really love the Doctor's reaction when the General sacrifices himself. It's just really doctory. Like, he tries to get him out of it, he can't. He realizes he will not be able to get him out of it, and he's moved by the fact that he's willing to sacrifice himself to try and slow the Angel down so the Doctor can get out. And he has this moment where he like he just gets these tears in his eyes and he's like, I wish I'd known you better. And he says, I think you knew me at my best. I just think that was such a great doctory moment. Like, he has come to terms with the fact this man will die, and he kind of like, he makes his peace with that, he moves on, but he's very, very sad about it. And I really like that.
Very much a continuation of like lots of people flinging themselves to sacrifice themselves for the Doctor.
Exactly. A continuation of all of that. And one other thing that I was just thinking watching this is I had to remind myself that this was the first episode that Matt and Karen shot for Doctor Who. And I do think, arguably, I think Karen slipped into Amy quicker than the Doctor slipped into... quicker than Matt slipped into the Doctor. But it just really, like, it reminded me of having recently watched Millie Gibson play Ruby Sunday and 73 Yards being her first episode, because both Karen Gillan and Millie Gibson, I think more so arguably than anyone else, they really knew who their companion was when they stepped on set day one. Like, they turned up and they were like, I know who I'm playing and I'm gonna wow you all. And I just think like, oh, Doctor, you sonicked her. Like, is she gonna be Mrs. Doctor one day? Like, she really knew like how to tease the Doctor and have fun with him, and she was so confident. And I think that she really, really like jumped into it full force. I mean, they both did. Both of them did.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had a very clear character for Amy, and she plays it really, really, really well.
And they're so young. Matt Smith in this is younger than we are now.
They're babies. I was thinking about this today. Like, Matt, I think, really came into it by series 7. Like, he's great here. He's great all the way through. But he is different. Like, his doctor is different. He's you can put them side by side. They sound different. They act a little different.
His hair's so long.
His hair's long as hell. But by series 7, he's just, I don't know, just like absolutely like lives and breathes.
He's much more of like the
doctor.
Professor, Clara. Like that's much more Matt Smith there.
There's just, every noise he makes, every mannerism by that stage is just so doctory. He's just got it down.
It's really like a pre-Amy's death, post-Amy's death. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. I see that. We have to talk about a very evil ending for this episode.
We do. I didn't know that was how you were going to lead into it, but yes, we do.
The kiss, I'd forgotten happens here. I thought it was a lot earlier, and it's absolutely diabolical. Like, for some reason at the end of this, Amy's just like, yeah, come on, like, let's do it. And it's
my note was horny Amy was rogue.
It was so weird. Like, everything I just said about they knew who that character was. But they just threw Amy at him, like threw her at him. And she needs a little lesson in consent, I fear, because he is an uncomfortable 907-year-old man.
Yeah, and he keeps saying no. It's interesting that Moffat has said that, I was going to save it for my fun facts. It's not so much fun fact, I'll say it now. In 2020, Stephen Moffat admitted that he shouldn't have played the scene where Amy tries to seduce the Doctor for laughs, noting that Amy ignoring the Doctor's protests against her... at the very least does have some rather uncomfortable sexual assault undertones. He admitted this was the one thing about his era that he would change.
Wow, the one thing. That's actually like...
I'm not changing nothing else.
But like to actually be like, this is the one thing about my era that I messed up is quite something. I don't think there's really any way of like clawing this scene back and being like, nah, actually it's good. There's that one bit, which is for me the most diabolical part of it, where suddenly the Doctor, though he's just been like smooched and grabbed, and then suddenly goes like, oh my god, I've just worked it out, I've just realized all of this whole thing is all about you. And then so he gets all excited because he's got this brand new mystery in his head, and he goes, I need to sort you out right now. Which,
yeah, it's just, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
But what's I've been trying to tell you? And I was like,
it's when Amy says to him like, hold that thought, and then like crawls to the end of her bed and just kind of lies there ready for him. I'm just like, oh, it's so gross.
But also
it's
this
so,
also
like,
immediately follows like the whole like, you know, the girl who waited, the childhood story.
I made a note about this. I said, no wonder the Doctor's so grossed out. 10 minutes ago, she was 11 years old. Like,
yeah.
in the Doctor's time, he's known Amy about 3 days. And by Amy, I mean Amelia. Like 3 days ago, you were like a 10-year-old girl, and now your tongue is down my throat. Like, no wonder he's so grossed out. It's grim.
It's funny that he's like, I shouldn't have played it for laughs, but like the serious version of this is such a downer to end the episode on, which is just like, Amy, that was really not acceptable. Amy, you've actually crossed.
We need to have a lesson about consent.
I'm sorry, but you've crossed the line, and I'm leaving. Like it would be...
he could have. And you know what? A lot of the problems would have been solved. I agree. I think that like I understand what he was going for. He was trying to say like Amy has been taken to the brink of death, a place she's not really been yet with the Doctor, and she's so shaken, and her reaction to that is to just find closeness with the person protecting her.
Yeah,
I get that. But I think that like there are a million other ways you could have played it, and this wasn't it. Although we do get a fun little nod to the Doctor having always been queer, where she's talking about being engaged, and he's like, oh, the good-looking one. And he's like, oh, well, and he sort of points the nose and goes, oh, he was good too. And like, you know, it was never that far on below the surface, mate.
What was his name, that guy? The character?
Get
a girlfriend, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff.
There we are. Yeah.
Jeff, get a girlfriend, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, Jeff. I've forgotten the name of the actor of Jeff, but he's in...
From the Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
I never watched the new season. Has the new season come out yet? I feel like it did, and I heard it was a mess.
I stopped at a certain stage.
I was such an Umbrella Academy stan, and I watched every single episode, and then I watched all the way to the finale of, I think it must have been series 3, And I'm guessing series 4 is the final one. And I didn't even bother. Like, I just heard it was so bad. I just didn't even bother.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you like this two-parter, Alasdair?
I really... I was so like confidently going to go like, I did. But to be honest with you, of all the episodes I've gone back and watched recently, I don't rank it that highly. And I watched quite a lot of like Amy Doctor stories, 11th Doctor stories. We've just got another Angel story. I didn't watch this and like go like, ooh, that was a good one. For me.
Oh, I get that. I watched it and I came away from it. I was like, that was fun Doctor Who. Like, that was fun.
Yeah.
I didn't come away from it being like, this changed me. Like, I didn't have the same reaction to this that I had to Blink. I think that Blink is better. And I think some people think it's not, and that's fine. But I thought it was a fun episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun episode.
Speaking of fun episodes, I've got a little game for you.
Oh my God.
It's a little game called Camp or Damn! Do you know what? I loved it last week when you played it in real life, and it actually sounded really good. It sounded fine.
It sounded all right, didn't it?
Yeah. For anyone who hasn't listened to an episode of Wholala before, I nearly forgot the name of our show. We like to play a little game called Camp or Damp, where we go back on moments from the episode we've just seen, and we say whether they were camp or whether they were damp. Alasdair, are you ready?
I'm ready.
And don't worry, the kiss is not on this list.
Okay.
River's entrance, camp or damp. You might want to find something to hold on to.
You might want to, as you said, what's it? As I said to you on the dance floor, you might want to find something to hold on to. I think, yeah, it's very camp. I think specifically the idea of having like the reflection of the blowtorch like in her little cat eye sunglasses is extremely camp.
Yeah.
The minigun that adapts into a blowtorch, very camp. The way she like gracefully gets ejected into space, very camp.
Love. River's entire relationship with the Doctor, camp or damp?
It's camp, but it's also really sad. Like, it's another one that, like, when you really think about it, it's very tragic story. So for it to be so like charged and yes, sweetie. Like, I was watching the opener of Series 6 the other day for fun, and she goes down into this tunnel looking for silence, and it's very like, well, shout if you see anything down there, and she's like, oh, don't you worry, I'm a screamer. And it like all of that like at a certain point starts to make me just a little bit like and
I remember when I watched the episode, I was like, oh, it's because the silence are inspired by the scream by Edward Munch. I don't think it was. I think it was the sex joke.
It was inspired by the scream. Bless you for being so pure. I don't know if I'd say it's camp.
How about in this episode, their relationship in this episode?
Yeah, sure. It's nice.
And finally, we have no need for comfy chairs. Camp or down?
Camp. We have no need for comfy chairs. The angels have no need for comfy chairs. Camp.
Love it. They're stony bums. I've also got some fun facts for you. Now, I got these in advance, and then I watched Confidential. I realised most of these are pulled straight from Confidential. So it wasn't actually written in the script that River was going to land on the Doctor when she gets pulled into the TARDIS. It was an idea that Matt Smith had in rehearsal, and actually proved very difficult to film because River kept kneeing him in the balls.
Oh.
He was like, yeah, she kept kneeing me where the sun doesn't shine. Oh, God. Most of the Weeping Angels, they're not statue props. They're actually actors playing the characters with masks and costumes and paint. It took about 2 or 3 hours to apply, and somebody on set called them an absolute nightmare to film with because it took such a long time to get ready, and then they just had to stand still for the whole day.
Honestly, can you imagine? Like, it sounds like it'd be fun, but can you imagine actually having to stand still in it all day?
Yeah. And to follow up, actually, from what we were talking about before, this episode was the first episode of Series 5 to be shot, and therefore the first episode featuring Matt Smith and Karen Gillan. And it's the second time in herstory that a new Doctor began their tenure by recording something other than their first adventure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Peter Davison started by taping his second story for To Doomsday, while the introduction in Castrovalva was actually his fourth story to be shot.
It's not a bad idea, though, to swap it around, because
you get a little warm-up.
Allow someone a bit of a warm-up. It doesn't matter as much if episode 3 they're a little more rusty. It does sort of make sense. I guess Shooty Now, his first episode was Dot and Bubble, so wasn't. No, that's not true, because his first episode would have been The Giggle.
Yeah, no, it's the same way that his first episode was The Giggle, and like David Tennant's first episode was The Christmas Invasion, even though he wasn't really in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, this one I just thought was quite funny. So the Doctor's gesture indicating that Rory has a big nose, it wasn't in the script. It was something that he just did like on the day. And because this was the first two-parter that was filmed, Arthur Darvill hadn't even filmed anything for the show yet. But Matt Smith and Arthur Darvill were like already long friends, so he knew each other. So he felt quite comfortable making a joke about the size of his nose before he even filmed anything on Doctor Who.
That's unbelievably cruel and funny.
I know. God bless him. God bless him.
God bless.
Well, we hope you enjoyed your time with us as we watch The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. Next week, we are continuing our angelic thread as we watch The Angels Take Manhattan.
Yes, indeed.
Ooh, you ready for some ooks and spooks? I like this because we get back to scary angels. We go back to scary angels.
Yes, scary angels.
It's funny because we actually ages ago did a Weeping Angel story technically on Wholala when we did the God Complex, because the next episode to feature the angels is the God Complex.
Oh, it is. Yes, they don't do very much in that, do they? They're sort of just in a room, not moving.
Yeah, well, I don't actually think they're real angels. They're like a projection of fear. Of angels.
Yeah.
There's a sweet bit in that though, and I'm sure I mentioned it in the episode, but it's David Walliams' character's fear. He is terrified of the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
And Amy, when she saw it, she came away and she said, I thought that was my room because I thought they were my greatest fear. And I thought that was really, really fun. Not fun, terrifying and horrible, but
it's childhood trauma. It's waiting.
It's waiting. Well, if you are so inclined, please reach out to us on all of our social media and let us know, what do you think of The Angels Take Manhattan? We are on Twitter, or on Blue Sky, or X, I should say, I guess. Instagram, TikTok, and everywhere is at Wholala Pod. You can also rewatch old episodes of the podcast on our YouTube channel at Wholala Pod, and email us your Doctor Who fan anecdotes at wholalapod@gmail.com.
Yes, you can. And if you enjoyed the episode, you can rate us 5 stars. It really helps the pod, especially on Apple, where I think we're lagging behind Spotify. If you want to bring that one up, you can follow the pod so you get notified when we drop new episodes. You can buy us a coffee, KO-FI coffee. And you can, of course, share the podcast with a friend and let them know what you thought.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week in Manhattan.
We'll see you in Manhattan, loves.
Goodbye.